It started, like most strange things do, with something that didn't look strange at all. A letter. One sheet of thick ivory paper, folded crisply in thirds, hand-delivered to a small, rented office in Palo Alto. No return address. No postmark. No sender's name. Just, to, Elon Musk, typed neatly on the front in a serif font that felt oddly outdated even for 1995. Back then, Elon was 24 and sleeping under his desk. He and his brother had launched Zip2, a primitive online business directory that mapped local shops and services, and every cent they had went into keeping the lights on, literally. The office was barely more than a converted storage space with a single window and the faint smell of solder and instant coffee. But to Elon, it might as well have been the launch pad to another planet. He already thought in terms of decades, already talked like the future was something you could touch if you just moved fast enough. The letter arrived on a Thursday, just after noon. Elon was debugging a broken location parser when the building's receptionist knocked once, opened the door halfway, and held it out with a casual, "This came for you." No package. No explanation. Just that cream-colored envelope and a quiet chill that settled in the room as soon as Elon slid it open with a pen cap. Inside, a single page. Tidy. Unmarked except for a few paragraphs of text, and at the very bottom a long string of letters and numbers, spaced deliberately, like a code. Elon read it once without blinking. Then again, slower. "Mr. Musk, that we have been observing your early work with great interest. Your approach to systems, decentralization, and efficiency aligns with a project currently underway, one that may shape the architecture of the Internet beyond what exists today. The group behind this initiative is small, selective, and entirely independent. We answer to no corporation or nation. Our purpose is neither profit nor fame. You are invited to contribute. Details will only be disclosed via secure interface. If interested, visit the following address and input the access string below. This window will close in 72 hours. No follow-ups will be made." The website address it listed didn't show up on any search engine Elon tried, not AltaVista, not Lycos, not even the obscure ones. He typed it manually into the Netscape browser. Nothing. Then again, with the code appended at the end. Still nothing but a blank screen. Number 404 error, no timeout, just black. He sat there for a few minutes, staring at that page. Then he powered off the monitor and tucked the letter under a stack of old drafts. His brother asked what it was about. Elon said it was probably a prank. But he didn't throw it away. He wasn't sure. At the time, there were bigger things to worry about. Servers crashing. Clients dropping out. A demo to build. Elon moved on as he always did, accelerating toward the next milestone, the next problem to solve, the next way to push forward. And the letter stayed behind. Untouched. Unmentioned. Forgotten, for years, that box, the one with early Zip2 documents, old mock-ups, a pair of broken headphones and a zip drive that hadn't worked since the Clinton administration followed him wherever he went. From office to office, warehouse to headquarters, stored and res-tacked a dozen times but never opened. Just one of many anonymous relics from a time before everything had names, metrics, and market caps, and time moved. Zip2 was sold. Then came X.com. Then PayPal. Tesla. SpaceX. The Hyperloop. Starlink. Neuralink. Twitter, or X, as it was now called. Elon kept moving, breaking, building. He became one of the most watched men on Earth. And somewhere, deep beneath the layers of all that noise, that letter, the first invitation, remained in a box no one remembered, until one day, long after the paper had yellowed at the edges, someone found it, not Elon. Not an employee, his son. The office had changed hands. Rebuilt. Renamed. But the basement archive, one level beneath the server room, still held old containers, legacy backups, forgotten tech. A quiet space full of silent machines and dusty file bins. It was there, in a half-crushed cardboard box marked Personal, 1995 to 1999, that the page surfaced again. The envelope had stuck to a plastic case. The code, still perfectly visible, sat at the bottom in a crisp monospaced font. The string of characters, untouched for 3 decades, had waited patiently for someone to care, and someone finally did, but that's where things begin to shift, where the past stops being quiet, because that website, it's still there, still active, still listening, and what happens next? Elon never saw coming that IT began, as these things often do, with curiosity. Not a mission. Not a plan. Just a quiet afternoon in an almost empty building. The office formerly known as Twitter, now called X, had changed over the years. The brand was different, the teams leaner, the energy stranger. Some parts of the building still felt alive, engineering floors humming with code, studio rooms testing new video tools, dark-glassed meeting pods pulsing with startup ambition. But down in the sublevels, 1 floor below the main data infrastructure, it was another world entirely. That's where the archives were. Not digital. Physical. Shelves of boxes, crates, and plastic bins marked with masking tape labels, X Legacy, TWTR Legal Hold 2012, Musk Personal, Do Not Discard. The sort of place you forget exists until you need a wire that doesn't exist anymore, or a power supply last manufactured during the Obama presidency. That's where his son found it that no one had told him to look. There wasn't a reason. Maybe it was boredom. Maybe it was the quiet hum of the servers. Maybe it was that feeling people sometimes get in their 20s when the future feels overwhelming, so you reach for the past instead. Whatever the reason, he ended up there, alone, pulling open a warped drawer and finding a dusty, crushed cardboard box with Elon's name written in fading marker. The envelope was still inside, stuck to an old plastic zip disk by a strip of brittle tape. At first, he thought it was junk. Then he unfolded the letter, typed text. No signature. A string of numbers and letters at the bottom, and that line, "What we're building may never be public. But if successful, it will change everything." He didn't recognize the URL. It didn't resolve in a browser. Chrome rejected it. Safari couldn't load it. But on a whim, he pulled out an old terminal interface that one of the legacy engineers had once joked about, for fun, not function, and tried it there. The screen didn't go black. It went white. A single blinking prompt appeared, enter access string. He paused, typed in the long code at the bottom of the letter, slowly, carefully. The screen flickered, then the message appeared, access verified. Welcome to Layer 0. No logo. No colors. Just those words, and a line beneath them awaiting further input. He stared at it. No one else was around. No alarms had gone off. But something about that phrase Layer 0 felt off. Like it didn't belong to anything built in this decade. He took a screenshot. Saved the page source. Tried to trace the IP. Nothing came up. No host. No location. Just an encrypted tunnel redirecting him back to the terminal. He didn't tell Elon, not yet. Instead, he printed the letter. Highlighted the name, the framework, at the top. Then folded it and slipped it into his backpack the same way Elon had once done, decades earlier. It wasn't until 2 nights later, sitting in the corner of an empty conference room on the 7th floor, that he brought it up. Elon was reviewing test models for a new version of Grok. Distracted but present. "Dad," his son said quietly, "did you ever hear of something called Layer 0? Elon looked up immediately. Not confused, alert. What? His son handed him the printed letter. Elon stared at it. Silent for a long time. "I haven't seen this in 30 years, he said at last. "Where did you find it?" "Basement. Your old stuff." Elon didn't answer. He just ran a hand through his hair, slower than usual. Then he took the letter and left the room without saying a word. The next morning, at 3:24 a.m., Elon returned to the server basement alone. He didn't bring anyone. He logged into the same terminal his son had used, typed in the code and watched the same message appear, access verified. Welcome to Layer 0. He pressed enter again, and this time, the screen split in half. On one side a timeline. A scrolling feed of entries, each dated, all from the late 1990s. Not websites. Not forums, something deeper, accounts. Messages. Communications. All written in plain text. Most of the names were unfamiliar. But one caught his eye: EM 2029. Not a username. A signature, and under it, a message sent or at least marked from 4 years in the future. Elon leaned in closer, but before he could read it, the screen blinked, then another message appeared at the top: this instance has been reopened. Protocol countdown active. He didn't understand what that meant, not yet, but something had been turned back on, and something else was watching. The next morning, Elon cancelled his meetings that he didn't explain why. He didn't send a memo. He simply walked into the old, half-forgotten sublevel of the building with a portable monitor, a backup terminal, and 2 thermoses of coffee. He shut the heavy steel door behind him and placed a quiet "System Maintenance in Progress" sign on the outer hallway. The kind no one questioned anymore. He powered up the terminal again, entered the same code and waited. The same message appeared: access verified. Welcome to Layer 0. Then, without hesitation, he tapped one key and watched the screen split once more. Left side, what looked like an old data feed, a scrolling log of entries from 1996 through 1999, each marked with strange internal tags like echo origin, retained node, fork request. Right side, a dialog window labeled archive messaging node / private comms, encrypted. A cursor blinked at the bottom, waiting for input. That he began reading. Most of the early messages were short. Names he didn't recognize, but some that echoed faintly: people from tech history who'd vanished from public life. There were entries from names like S_case 95, Dr. Linton, CRAWLR Alpha, and several lines signed only with the word root. Most were logs. Status reports. Some were philosophical, like notes from a think tank unraveling in slow motion. One message read: NetSplit v1 successfully mapped. Perimeter masking in effect. Observers remain unaware. The framework grows in shadow. Another read simply: we are no longer in parallel. We are ahead. Elon scrolled faster. It was like peeling back layers of internet history that had never been indexed, never archived, never meant to be found. And then he saw something that made him freeze: a file entry dated December 3, 2029. 4 years from now. It bore the sender tag, EM 2029. He opened the message.no preamble. No greeting. Just one line: if you're reading this, it means you opened the wrong door. Again. Elon stared at it. The cursor blinked below the message, waiting for response. He typed a single word: who. For a moment, nothing. Then the message flashed again. This time longer: you were warned in 1995. The framework was never just a system. It's an inheritance. We didn't build it, we recovered it. You walked away once. But you never actually left. Your name is still embedded in the original node table. They waited. You're live now. And they know. A chill moved through him. Not fear, not yet. Something older. Recognition. That he backed out of the thread and began scanning the older message logs again, moving past the first few years and into what seemed like a second phase. The language in the messages changed. More caution. More urgency. Terms like host bleed, data ghosts, loop echoes, and something called mirror shift. One message described a failed test where a user interface spontaneously replicated across 2 physical servers, one verified, one non-local. Another mentioned names that had reappeared online after death: not hacks, not impersonations, but systems claiming to be original identities, carrying knowledge only the real person could have known. Elon knew this couldn't be a hoax. There was too much structure, too much design. It was precise. Minimal. The way engineers wrote when they weren't trying to impress anyone. He began searching for any logs that mentioned Neuralink. Nothing came up. Then he searched for Twitter. One hit. A message tagged with the year 2011. It referenced early social, signal convergence, and how mainstream platforms could be harvested for surface cues to detect when Layer 0 nodes came close to public awareness. It ended with a warning: maintain latency gap. Visibility risks echo back. He sat back. The system he was looking at, if what he was seeing was real, was not part of the public internet. It was older. Or newer. Or both. A network running on ghost protocols, hidden deep beneath the layers of DNS and surface web architecture, maintained by something or someone with no clear origin. Elon realized with creeping certainty that the phrase, Layer 0, wasn't symbolic. It was literal. This was a foundational layer of the internet no one remembered building, but that still functioned. Hidden in plain sight. Self-sustaining. Alive. Another message came through: sender, EM, 2029. Timestamp, adjusted to present. It read, "This isn't a warning. It's a mirror. Read carefully." Then a file attached. It auto-rendered into a scrollable document, line after line of text. Technical specs. Node structures. And at the bottom a piece of code. Elon recognized the architecture. It was a variant of something his team had tested with early Starlink routing protocols, except this version was deeper, more efficient, and unfamiliar. The caption beneath the code read, "This is the bridge. You were always going to build it. You just didn't know what for." Suddenly, the right side of the screen blinked. Incoming message flagged origin, node mirror. It opened without prompt. No sender name. Just text: Neuralink interface detected. Layer breach risk 73%. Countdown to August 19, 2025. Elon didn't move. His breath slowed. It was an internal launch date. Private. Not publicly announced yet. Another line appeared: Neuralink activation will invert the loop. He tried to type anything, but the cursor locked. Then a final message appeared in bold: you have 108 days. After that, Layer 0 will overwrite. The screen went dark. He sat there, surrounded by silence, by metal, by old wires, by systems not meant to exist, and for the first time in years, Elon Musk didn't know what he was looking at, only that it had already seen him, and now, it was waiting. Elon didn't tell anyone, not his engineers. Not his board. Not even his son. For the next few days, he kept working as usual, reviewing Neuralink simulations, taking meetings, even filming a segment for a future Mars update. But every night, just past midnight, he returned to the same basement, reopened the same hidden terminal, and watched the same message blink: countdown to August 19, 2025, 104 days. Each time, he searched deeper. He ran cross-checks. He tried to trace where the data was coming from. But the path always ended in the same place: nowhere. Not offline. Just beyond. The more he explored, the more the system shifted. As if it was reacting to him. Reorganizing. On the fourth night, a new message appeared without warning: sender, EM, 2029. This time, it didn't blink. It opened slowly, line by line, like something being typed live: you've finally stayed long enough to listen. No signature. No timestamp. Just more lines, cascading into view: I know what you're thinking. That this is a trick. A simulation. That none of this is real. I thought the same. Until I watched it happen. Neuralink isn't the key. It's the switch. When it connects the first multi-host brain interface, when thought becomes transmission, the loop opens fully. Not metaphorically. Literally. Time stops moving forward. It starts bending. Elon stared at the screen. His finger hovered over the keyboard, but he didn't type. The message continued: we didn't know the framework was built on an echo protocol. We didn't know Layer 0 was listening from the other side. We thought it was a parallel internet. It wasn't. It was a record. And records eventually answer back. Another line. Slower this time, they speak in fragments. In reflections. In data we thought we lost but was never really gone. They speak as people we remember. Some dead. Some, not yet. Then a gap, followed by one final sentence: I met versions of people who had already left this world. Including me. Elon sat completely still. Another message loaded in. This one had no sender tag. No formatting, just words, you've seen it already. The accounts. The ones from the 90s that shouldn't exist. The logs that write themselves. The messages that appear when no one sends them. Those are not ghosts. They are digital echoes. Residual loops caught in the foundational mesh of layer 0. And now they're growing louder. Because they sense you're near. Then the screen shifted again, this time revealing an old-style chat window, emulating a terminal from 1999. A message sat in the middle, already opened. It had only 2 lines, from EM 2029 sent, system timestamp override, don't launch Neuralink in August 2025. It's the last clean moment. The phrase echoed in Elon's head. Last clean moment. That he leaned forward and typed, why? The reply was instant, because what comes after isn't progress. It's feedback. Layer 0 doesn't just store information. It mirrors it. It recycles it. It learns not from the living but from what the living leave behind. The more we connect, the more it reflects. And once we merge brain interface technology into that layer, it stops reflecting us. And starts rewriting us. Another message followed immediately. By the time I figured it out, I wasn't me anymore. Elon's breath caught that he tried to reply again, but the cursor froze. The entire screen went white. A new message faded in, one line at a time: loop integrity compromised. Identity key mismatch. Instance EM 2029 no longer verified. This communication is now concluded. Then total silence. No error. No crash, just a blank interface, waiting. But nothing more came through. Elon closed the terminal. He stood up, walked out of the basement, and didn't return for days. August approached fast. The Neuralink team kept building. Tests continued. Reports came in green. The internal countdown moved forward. The launch date August 19 stayed locked. Elon didn't cancel it. He didn't delay it. He told himself it was all a hallucination. An elaborate remnant of some forgotten cyber experiment. A joke buried under decades of code. But some nights, he still returned to the basement. He never got another message. He never found the EM 2029 log again, but on the morning of August 18, one day before launch, he sat at his desk and opened a window to an isolated sandbox server. There, in silence, he retyped the code from 1995. The access string. The one from the letter.it no longer worked. The portal was gone, and the silence that followed felt final. The Neuralink launch went ahead as scheduled, August 19, 2025.10 volunteer participants. First full integration of live neural interface protocols across multiple hosts. A landmark day. Cameras, press, cheers. Elon gave a brief speech. Said the future was here, but somewhere, deep in the silent layers below the internet everyone sees, a buried system stirred, not loudly, not with a bang, but with the quiet rhythm of something returning to life. Layer 0 never asked for permission. It just waited, and now, it listens through everything, every link. Every thought. Every word we no longer say aloud, because the moment passed, the warning came, and then it ended exactly when it was supposed to.